It's a Plymouth Thanksgiving. And, yes, a year ago, Cindy decided she wanted to do this play. She's the president of the Historical Society. And even though we don't live in Massachusetts, we live in New Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, she decided she wanted to do a Plymouth Thanksgiving dinner and a drama. So, of course, me being a theater person, I'm in because it's close to home, not too much work, right? So we but of course it always turns out to be more work than you think. We all had to write our own parts. Of course, one of the ladies was charged with getting everything organized, and we had rehearsals. We ended up, having our scripts so we could read them if we wanted, but I tried not to. So I mostly avoided reading mine, and it was funny. So I'm going to show you some clips, especially my clips, because the thing with me is I always have a lot of personality, and that's why I like to act, because I need to get this energy out. See, now I saw a quote from Stella Adler. She said, "The reason why you are an actor is because your soul is not used up by life." Sounds good to me. Our souls are not used up by life, so therefore we must act in order to burn off the excess energy. So, I think I agree. But yeah, we had a fun time. They had a dinner. We helped serve us people in costume. Yeah, it was a good time. We had a good turnout too. About 60-some local people, and it was a good dinner. I said, when you do things out of the ordinary, you make memories, Making sure it's recording. When I'm just sitting at my computer day after day, there's no memories being made there too much. But when you get out and do things, have experiences, I guess you make some memories. So that is good for life. But anyway, here's some clips from our Thanksgiving dinner drama.
It'll go faster if somebody just hands me these plates.
Okay, record.
Dustin, is Judy Williams there?
Okay.
I don't think she's here.
Head.
Oh, she said, Cheryl said he signed
Off now?
Okay.
The story of the Pilgrims begins in the early part of the 17th century. The Church of England, under King James I, was persecuting everyone who did not recognize that they had the absolute civil and spiritual authority. The first Pilgrims were Christian rebels who challenged the king's authority. Passengers, Mary Brewster, a saint, and Eleanor Billington, our stranger, can tell us more about this.
Mary, did you know it was later discovered that captain of the Speedwell overmasted the ship on purpose so it would leak and it wouldn't work, and he would have to return to port so he could get out of his contract that said he would have to spend a year in the New World with the colonists so they could have the Speedwell to use. But imagine, who wouldn't want to spend a year with me and my boys?
yes, it was very deceitful. That's why there were only 40 of us that could go on board the Mayflower, while the others remained behind in Holland.
So because of this delay, the Mayflower got a later start and didn't set sail.
Some fresh air, and as I was leaning over the rail of the ship, Francis Billington came up and goosed me from behind.
My boys would never do a thing like that. Would you, Francis?
It wasn't me, Mom. It was my brother.
John? What?
Either way, at that moment I found myself plunged into the sea.
My family was always respectable and willing to lend a hand at any time, but those other passengers were mean. They maligned us, and the children called my boys the Bilgewater boys, and me Mistress Bilgewater. What are these children coming to? No respect for their elders at all these days. And then they're just jealous of my boys. Why, even that captain, he thrashed my little angels for some petty crime, I think harassing the ship's cat or something like that, I think. I'm sure it wasn't anything. Was it, Francis?
We were only trying to teach that lazy cat how to swim, and then one of those little girls told the captain and...
Oh, never mind, dear. I'm sure you were doing the right thing. But after all, what would happen if there was a storm and that lazy cat fell overboard and was sadly out of swimming practice? Then the captain would have some rats on his hands to deal with.
He said we had to catch a rat a day until we land.
Oh, what cruelty to my children!
It's not so bad. I mean, I've already caught 3 more today than John has. And we'll teach that captain that we're better at catching rats than that dumb cat.
Oh, of course, my darling. Of course you will. You're just an unrecognized genius. Why, my Francis even managed to fire his father's musket. And it's a task very hard for many men to do. I've heard Miles Standish drilling the other men, and it's not easy. And here my Francis, he did it, and he didn't even burn a finger when it exploded and sparks flew everywhere.
It's not my fault that barrel of gunpowder got in the way. I didn't put it there.
Of course you didn't, darling. It could have happened to anybody. But that captain, he just always had it in for my boys.
Well, some of the passengers wondered how on earth that ship didn't explode.
Well, the harvest this year was truly an amazing one. Who could have known that when we were starving on half rations just the year before, that such a day of plenty awaited us?
One of the problems were that there were 53 of us pilgrims left and 90 Wampanoag braves that came with Chief Massasoit. There were only 4 of us pilgrim women left to make this meal. There was the Saint, Susanna Winslow, and myself, and the stranger, Elizabeth Hopkins, and Eleanor Billington. We had to make meals for 140 people. We did have a couple teenage girls to help us.
Yes, and one of those girls is Tilly. Elizabeth Tilly. She's the sweetest girl. And a hard worker, too. Why, she came over with us on the Mayflower with her parents. But, poor girl, they passed away. So she went to live with her aunt and uncle. And they died, too. So she moved in with the Carvers, who also died. And now she lives with me. Only temporarily, until she finds herself a good husband.
That's correct, Mr. Howland. Tilly and Priscilla Mullins were 2 of the teenage girls who helped us.
Cooking that big dinner was such a chore that we had to start it days in advance. Why, we must have cooked half the vegetation and beasts in the New World. There was quite a list. Let's see, we prepared fowl, nuts, beans, pumpkins, squash, cornmeal, cabbage, leeks, cucumbers, parsnips, lettuce, garlic, carrots, fish, chestnuts, walnuts, lobster, and eels. Oh, we can't forget the eels. And them oysters too. And then after all that, we had to dress and roast 5 deer that the Indians brought. It was so much food.
Well, that celebration lasted for 3 days. We had feasting and games and races, and our men showed off their military skills. But most importantly, we gave thanks to God for a good harvest, good friends, and a good life in America.
Okay, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed seeing these little clips of our acting, and hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving. You take care.